has entered another beauty contest. The last one didn't go the way you thought it would, but you knew the Lord is leading you. By the way, Rebeka is a lobster fisher woman, a lobster fisher person. I'm not sure what the politically correct term is now.
Right.
She digs clams. She has got 2 kids, Kennedy, and I forget the little boy's name.
Jace.
Is Jace older or younger than Kennedy?
Older.
Okay. Very cute pictures of Kennedy recently, by the way. I saw them. Rebeka is also married to a Coast Guard, Coastie. I guess you call him Coastie, right?
That's correct.
And you're in Rockland, where he is, your husband, tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe without the kids.
Yeah. They're out with Dad.
And she has entered another beauty contest, Mrs. Maine. And now it took me by surprise, because I'm like, wow, that was quick. I guess maybe I missed some posts that you had put on Facebook. But did you actually enter the contest and win the Mrs. Maine beauty pageant? And now you go on to Mrs. America?
So it's Mrs. Maine International. I have my sash right here. And they had an application process, and I filled it out and I submitted my entry fee, and I waited for the state pageant, which was supposed to be held in April.
Okay.
And the director called me and she said, hey, this is what's going on. I met with my pageant board and everyone who runs the show. And this year we decided, due to COVID and everything going on, we met and we went over all the applications and who applied. And instead of running a state show, we decided we would just choose as a board who we wanted to send to nationals. And they said that the story that I had behind me amplified Maine, and
for sure. Yeah.
They wanted to send me, and I was like, my mouth dropped. And we were on a video chat, so it was like, no way. No way. Like, wow. So technically I did not compete on stage, but I did go through the application process like you would any other pageant, and was selected.
Wow.
And paid the entry fee, and here I am headed to Kingston, Tennessee, July 17th through the 23rd.
July, and I'm sure I don't need to write this down because you'll be updating us all. July?
Yes.
July, what was the date again?
17th through the 23rd.
23rd in Tennessee? Where in Tennessee?
Kingston, Tennessee.
Kingston, Tennessee. And you'll be competing against all the other Mrs. States and
worldwide. So there's ladies from Australia and France and China competing. Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. It's going to be incredible. Ladies from all over the world. Like, yeah.
Do you have to raise your own funds to get there and to stay and food and all that?
That's correct. So in the entry fee, hotel room is covered in the meals, okay. But like travel expenses and wardrobe, I am kind of having to raise money for. So that's a little added expense, but the community is great. The Grange has raised a little over $350 a couple weekends ago for me. So every dollar helps towards that. And it's just been great.
That's good. I know that you wouldn't do this yourself because you're always thinking of somebody else with all the things that you're involved with. But let me suggest something you probably already have thought about. Maybe somebody else has suggested is, again, a GoFund account. If people did want to give outside of your the Jonesboro area, Washington County, maybe a friend would do that that's watching tonight. We want to send Rebeka to Tennessee and help her with these expenses. So whoever's listening out there, I'm just going to put it out there, right?
That's right. Yes.
Help her out. So whether you go through the Grange or somebody says, yeah, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and do a GoFund account and help add to whatever Jonesboro Grange is doing on site there, because you've been very involved with the Grange, and I know your father has. And
yes.
I lost. There you are. Good. And recently, if we could segue into that, I mean, we don't have to be done talking about the pageant, but I think that is so amazing. By the way, before we do, and then talk to your dad and get an update on his health and what he's up to. How many pageant entries are there? Do you know, like total? Because international must be a lot of entries.
If you go to the Mrs. International website and click on the contestants, it will show you everyone who is competing. And I'm unsure of the total contestant numbers, but there is quite a few, and you can read where they're from, their photo, and there's questions that they've answered so far. So you can learn a little bit about each woman that is coming to compete. So it's really cool.
That is cool. The other thing too is, would you know, I guess you could find this out, anybody could, but whether every state is included in the international here in this country, or?
I believe so. Yes.
It's good to know. Awesome.
Yes.
Wow. So I wonder who Mrs. Michigan is.
I don't know.
Michigan here tonight, but at any rate, if you meet her, let us know. And we
absolutely.
We'll put that in our calendar, Amy and I, July 17th to the 23rd, folks, Kingston, Tennessee, and we'll be keeping that in prayer. Johnny, let's go to you, and then we'll go back to Rebeka, and we'll just keep going back and forth. You are free of cancer right now, is that correct?
That's what they claim.
Man, that is so awesome. Now, your prognosis or diagnosis at one point was stage, what, 3, 4, or?
I think so. That was a while ago. I have Alzheimer's, you know. I don't want to forget. I forget them things.
Yes, of course you do. All you went through. Yeah. You had the chemotherapy and radiation, both?
No, just the chemo.
Just the chemo. And it was, what kind of cancer was it again?
Bladder cancer.
Bladder. We're going to keep that past tense. Was.
Oh,
definitely. I want to believe that your remission is going to be permanent, because you've had a lot of people praying for you, buddy. And Amy and I, and of course, people back home in churches. And so how many months has it been since you've had a clean slate of health?
Well, it's been a year ago last
May. I think May.
May. Wow.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. Now, let me ask you this. With this remission that you are in, have you felt an increase in energy and hold on, they want to restart my Windows just a minute, snooze. I don't want that to happen when we're talking. I'm on the church computer here, so you just never know. I'm not on as much, but we get a good signal here. But do you feel that perhaps in this last few months that you have maybe more energy compared to when you first received the good news of a remission?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
wow.
The chemo, it really is, it takes a hold of you.
Mm-hmm. Now, that would have been one reason why you probably were sapped of energy initially, even with remission. So now being away from the chemo and farther out into several months of remission now, you ready to put a hole in the clam flats?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if people ask me, they said, how you feeling? I said, depends on what you want.
That's a great answer. That's a down east answer, if ever there was one. Wow. I hear the prices was only $1.90 a few weeks ago back home.
$1.80 this morning down east.
That is not good. This time last year, was it? Because last year was like breaking records, right?
Later on the summer, it was slow. Every spring is slow. I mean, everybody goes clamming, but that goes back to supply and demand.
Yes, that's right.
And what was interesting, $1.80, but at the grocery store, they're still $9.99.
That doesn't change much.
No, you don't.
I remember that we used to say to one another, if we could just get everybody not to dig in the spring and wait till that price goes up, save all those clams, get more of them at a higher price. But it's hard to, when people are feeding hand to mouth and trying to earn a little bit extra money, not to dig it all when the weather gets better.
Right.
Oh, it is a difficult thing to do. So have you got your traps out yet, Rebeka? And have you been on with her, Johnny, on the boat?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But still waiting for spring. April was real cold and chilly up here.
Yeah.
Raining.
Yeah, we had a late spring here in Michigan too. But I heard you had a good week of warmer temperatures. I'm not sure how long ago. So, and how many traps do you have to put out, Rebeka?
I can fish up to the 800 limit, but with 2 kids and a husband in the military, it's just not something that's going to happen for at least a couple of years. So I'm lucky. Last year, I think I fished 200,
200.
Just about. And that's a whole nother story of, typically the lobster industry is male, and that is okay. But when you have a woman in the industry who is a mother and very involved in the community and married to military, which is very rare, it's so hard to put your career first. So I'm finding lately that my career is being put back lately, but it's okay, because later on down the road, once the kids get older and Garrett retires, I will be back out there in full force, and that's okay. So right now it's just the season of life that I'm meant to be in, and I'm just learning to accept that right now. And
it's hard because I'm sure you want to get out on the water, and
I do,
and do what almost probably as much, if not more, gives you pleasure than what you're already doing. And with your family and helping your dad out. I'm sure he's just anxious, chomping at the bit to get out on the water too. So
right now it's T-ball. T-ball is the season of T-ball. I volunteered to be an assistant coach on the T-ball team. So right now it's, instead of the dollar amount, it's T-ball. So it's making priceless memories on the T-ball field. Yes.
And Uncle, what do they call Andrew? Uncle Andrew?
Yes, Uncle Andrew, actually, yes.
Support, as well as your mother, the kids with T-ball. My grandson is first year of minor league, so we've been seeing some of his antics and actions on the ball field. So that's been fun. Tell us about, let's just talk about Grange for a minute. I'll go to you, Johnny. I know that Rebeka's kind of at the helm of that and a number of her volunteer helpers, but Grange, and I think we touched on this last time, but it's worth repeating. Across this country, Grange, I guess I can only speak for Maine. I'm not sure how other states, but I'm thinking that it's going that way, sort of downhill emphasis that the Grange is going out, that not many people are meeting together again. I know here in Fulton, which we're in farm country, 4-H is almost a thing of the past, and to hold on to try to educate young people about farming and farming practices and whatnot, hunting even, the interest has gone down. I think the state of Michigan, they had like 1,400 less youth hunters apply for a license this year than normal, which is really sad. So do you see the same kind of thing in Maine? And what have you guys, it's a twofold question, done to keep the Jonesboro Grange up and to excel the way it has?
When we first met, it was old traditional Grange, and we regrouped, and we all talked about community Grange, putting it back out into community rather than just in the Grange.
Okay.
And that's really taken off. I mean, we've gained younger people, and it's what the younger people want. I keep saying, what do you want?
Right.
And where do you want the Grange to go?
Yes. Wow.
That's the membership. I mean, it's taken off. And doing community, more people want to get involved in it because they love it. I mean, they see what's going on, and it's like a lost community thing, and they want to get back into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that your spirit, Johnny, has been bequeathed to your daughter in that sense. I'm sure that there's a lot of your DNA that's Andrew's got, but this piece about community activity and getting people involved, it's almost like an addiction for Rebeka, if you ask me. A good addiction. And on another sense, just to relate, because we're friends and I guess almost like family here, I see that same thing in my daughter in terms of promotion, like what I'm doing tonight. That was her degree at Michigan. I'm like, man. And then the Lord said, this is what you've been doing all those years, even though you pastored and dug clams and this and that. It's always with radio, it's always been about promoting other people's stories, and we love doing that. You guys are doing that kind of thing with the community, and I love the forward-thinking questions that you said that you said that, what do you want? And a lot of people don't ask that question. That's why a lot of the mainline churches are dying. People don't want to say, we just want to cater to what was back then.
Right.
As long as we can keep the older folks, the money tithing people I gotta be careful what I say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of is true in some sense. There's no reason why both young and old can't enjoy, whether we're talking church or Grange or, because small town America is dying and it doesn't need to. I think we need to not give up. And you guys have been a shining example of that. You've seen the Grange as a tool, a vessel to use instead of just, hey, it's all about us. So I just need to stop. I'm starting to preach now. All right. And you found that people were really wanting to listen and to be involved, and you took their suggestions. I'm thinking of what else could be done for the community through the Grange. Tell us some of the things lately, Rebeka, that you've done at the Grange that maybe we could be updated about.
So in December, we sat down and we called a huge meeting, and it took 3 hours to get through. And we said, we're going to plan a year. And everyone brought their ideas. We said, if you have an idea, come to this meeting because it's going to be written down on paper and we're going to make it happen.
Yes.
And we laid out the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
So recently we did an Easter basket festival, and that raised over $4,000. Incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That blows me away. Wow. Just from a little town of Jonesboro, people around.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. So we had 70, I can't remember off the top of my head, 78 baskets, 76. Mm-hmm. And we split those proceeds with the Jonesboro Union Church. Right. We went in half with them. So we each got roughly $2,000. Mm-hmm. And we had the Easter Bunny there. We did a breakfast up at the church. We did an Easter egg hunt with over 4,000 eggs, and it was awesome.
That is so great. Wow.
And backing up, we did a Candyland in February where it was like a giant bake sale, and we transformed the Grange into literally a Candyland. You walked in and there was candy decorations everywhere. And the tables were overflowing with candy and cookies and brownies, and people could walk through the door, and for $5, they could fill up a box of treats, whatever they wanted, and just enjoy everything and walk right around. And
that's amazing.
yes, out the door they went.
It sounds like you got something for every month, right?
Yeah, so right now it's something for every month, but it's kind of getting a little... So we're finding what works and what the community wants and feeding off of that. So May was a Mother's Day craft fair / ice cream social and a breakfast. Right. It wasn't well received. It was still cold. So we said maybe going forth next year, if we do something in May, it will be something different. Right. So we're looking at that. If it doesn't go well, if the community doesn't come out, if we don't see a lot of traffic, we kind of regroup and say, hey, okay, something needs to go in the other direction. But if it's well received, we're like, next year, we're already planning. So the next event is the Touch a Truck. We did this last year, and we just threw it together last year, I feel. It was just a wing, whatever. This year, we've done some planning. DEI touch tank is coming for the kids to bring their saltwater touch tank. We're going to have popcorn, the plastic hard hats, balloons. We'll have the grill fired up for lunch. We have a 6-burner gas grill, a raffle ticket, so we can maybe make some money. We've invited over 60 companies to come with a truck. I'm hoping at least half will show, roughly 30. We know James Cox will bring at least 5 trucks. So, yeah. But yeah, it's free for the community to come out with anyone and touch these trucks. The fire department's coming, and it will be held at the school, so away from Route 1. It's safe. Yeah, so we have that coming up, and then the Crush Cancer 5K.
Okay, wow. And so that one, the Crush Cancer 5K, is when?
June 26th is the actual race. And it turned, last year was, I still get goosebumps. Like I still, it's just, it was so, And I'm hoping and praying this year is just the same. Currently, we have 141 participants signed up.
Wow, that sounds like a lot already.
Yes, last year we had 156 total.
Right, so.
My goal was 200 this year. So even if we don't make that 200, if 200 people don't sign up, if we surpass the 156 mark, we're only going higher. And the sponsors this year has been incredible. We have over 30 sponsors. It's just, I'm just in awe.
Your volunteer base, and
yes.
Johnny can speak to this too. I'm thinking is probably part of that creativity and that vision that you've had for all these different ideas, that when you do get together, and like your dad, what do you want? You're probably saying that to your crew as you gather together and bounce ideas off each other and think about what might work, what doesn't, and kudos to you for adjusting yourself, because not everything has to be a fundraiser, although a huge part of it does, because you do want Grange to continue. So it's kind of like balancing that, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple of things like the veterans thing we put on. That is really not fundraising. It's giving back to them.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
I mean, it sometimes money is not the issue. It's giving back out the door.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And welcoming people in.
Yes, and recognizing the contributions that people have made, like veterans or even other people in our community. And I think when you mentioned that you worked with the Jonesboro Union Church, that's critical too, to find out the other groups of people in your town who are already doing something good and saying, hey, can we work together, instead of saying, this is just my thing. Because typically, I think we have had that struggle in Washington County, with whether it's the churches or other nonprofits or towns, even sometimes having animosity against other towns next door for whatever reason, political, I don't care. And we need to get over it. And Johnny, you carried the torch for that for years. And I think sometimes you got persecuted for it, but you never gave up, man. You're a beast. You're a battler and a fighter.
Well, it come to me, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. I ain't got it anymore. Just tell me what you need. I mean,
yeah. You get to that point where, you're getting older, and it's like, if you know something's right, you just do it. You try to do it in love, and if not everybody's going to receive you, but you hope most people do, that they're able to see the light about what you're trying to, when you work with the clam committee and trying to encourage, I know that the last time we talked, good laws, local and state, that will help that resource continue through the years.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, we had a Grange degree night last August.
Okay.
And I couldn't make it because I had a town budget meeting at the same time. I mean, I'm a tax assessor too in the town, and also involved in the fire department. I mean, I sat there, but it was hot seats.
And I'm sure that's part of, along with the Lord's power and healing over your life, and the prayers of churches and families and your family, but that desire to keep moving, being active, had to contribute to your current remission. I mean, the desire to live. And there's so many people who are struggling, obviously, when they don't have that desire, and somehow to find it, it's there somewhere, and just got to find it. So hats off to you, sir.
They always ask me, and in fact, John Peterson, Dr. John Peterson, he got quite a kick out of it, and he said, when they asked me, have you got a living will? I said, no, I got the will to live. And he said, I've never heard that before. I said, don't need that.
That's good. And before we go back to Rebeka, and then we'll close with some prayer, but we've got another interview coming up at 8:30. Because I'm away from my fishing haunts, especially Chandler River, as you know, for the last 20 years, or not now, but my favorite spot in the whole world. And I didn't even know that my Look family came originally from Jonesboro, which is kind of cool. But So I've been resigned to watching trout fishing on YouTube, which is really sad. My son has a canoe. He's got my fly rods, everything, which is fine. But, you know, the conservation of the salmon fishery, which is, I think it's happening back home and in the state, but particularly down east. What do you see with the sea trout? I've noticed that there's less and less of them. I'm sure you have too, since the days when they came all the way down on the Chandler near the old brick bridge there, that brickworks. Do you think that maybe there'll be some effort at some time in the future to try to conserve, try to bring that back? Because it's a little different than the salmon, because everybody's like the salmon's the top dog.
Yeah.
But maybe the sea trout deserves a little attention as far as conserving that.
Back when we had the 4-H clam hatchery, Sam Chapman come up and we went to East Machias and got some alewives and brought them over and dumped them up there to Gil's Bridge.
Okay.
And I was talking to Inland Fish and they said, you have a small alewife run in Dover River.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I haven't heard that either. Wow.
No.
That's kind of
I don't know what, what the extent of the run is, but they said they were there.
Wow. So that's something to keep an eye on then, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's part of our natural resources.
Yeah. So add that to try to keep the clams up and maybe keep the sea trout coming back, maybe working on that. I know that I've seen pictures of, I guess the East Machias is running pretty hard right now with the alewives.
Yep.
Yep. Buckets over there, dipping them with the 8th grade class from Elm Street.
Yep.
So that's a cool thing. Awesome.
Yep.
Wow. So Rebeka,
education.
yes, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's not all about book learning. There's so many kids that don't learn well through the book, or they test badly. And so hands-on, I mean, we need different strokes for different folks, right?
Right.
Now, you are still working, Rebeka, with the Beth Wright Cancer Foundation, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And how's that going, and what's your role been in that lately with all the other irons in the fire that you've had?
So I have served about a year and a half on the board, and it has been wonderful. We just held the 22nd annual Beth C. Wright Walk for Life in Addison this past Saturday.
Oh, cool. Wow.
I'm not sure of the total amount that was raised. I will find out at the next board meeting, but it was beautiful. Despite the rain, it was just it's always a wonderful event down there in Addison. And Beth, I wish I could have met her. I just feel being part of this, like her energy, like just, I feel like it's just kind of meant to be her legacy that she left. Like, I wish I would have known her, because I feel like her and I would have maybe connected with the passions and the energy she had in her life and her will to give back and help people, that we'd be two of the same people. I also feel that I wish I could have met Sarah of Sarah's House of Maine.
Yes. Yeah.
Beth and Sarah seem to be very similar as well. And I just feel like I need to carry their stories and their energy and their passions that they had in life while they were here, and their willingness to help people. Like, that's kind of what I need to do through Dad being sick, kind of open my eyes and, hey, you need to give back. And this is, it feels good. It feels good to help those who are in a situation where you hear the word cancer and it's like, dun, 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 like, it's so scary. And what we went through with Dad, I never thought I'd have to go through with a family member. And I wish that on no one.
Exactly.
That was awful.
So with Sarah's House, that's a separate nonprofit entity all its own. You're involved with that? So you got that going. Wow.
I am not involved with Sarah's House, but we chose Sarah's House as a beneficiary for the race, because Dad and Andrew did stay there while Dad did chemo treatments, and Sarah's House only charges $15 a night to stay in that beautiful house. So we said a portion of this race fund needs to go to Sarah's House to help, and if someone can't come up with the $15, they waive it. And you can stay for free versus in a cold hotel room, which is just wonderful. And that was her mission. That was Sarah's mission. She wanted someplace for people to stay in the Bangor area that was comfortable and felt like home. And it was, yeah, Dad stayed there, so they are part of where we give back. So I'm not involved personally with Sarah's house. I've got enough on my plate, like you said, but the Beth Wright, that opportunity was there to serve on the Beth Wright Board of Directors, and I enjoy it. Some of the people that I have come to meet through that are the most exceptional people. Met Dexter, who runs the Christine B. Foundation out of Bangor. Exceptional young man. I am so honored to cross paths with him, and Michael Reisman, the director of the center, who is retiring soon. I am so sad to see him go because he has inspired me greatly as well. Over the past 18 years, I do believe, if I'm correct, he has served the cancer community through the Beth Wright Center, and he's done a phenomenal job. And we are sad to see him go, but we wish him a great retirement. So it's been beautiful. It's been a wonderful, despite Dad's cancer diagnosis, it has opened up so many doors of opportunity and connections and friendships. And it's been wonderful.
Like God was saying to you, I'm going to allow this to happen, but through it, you're going to find other avenues of serving people and ministering to people. And meanwhile, I'm going to take care of your dad. And so it's like two birds with one stone, God says. I think
absolutely.
That's the way it goes. And to be with people who have that same kind of heart to help other people must be this kind of energy that's just vibrating in the room when you have your meetings. It's amazing.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Sandy Alley from Jonesport, who recently lost her husband, and we talked before the Beth Wright walk this past Saturday, and we shared a few words, and she said, without saying it, you felt that connection, because we both went through something that was very traumatic. And unfortunately, her outcome, she lost her husband, and I still have my father. So I really don't know her extent on her journey, what she went through, but we both experienced that. And without saying words, we knew. So it was good to be in the company of others who have been in that. But also, like, going through the Grange, if Dad didn't get the Grange up and going and say, hey, I'll be master if you want to vote me in, and get that up and running, the nonprofit, that's what started Crush Cancer Race and took it under the umbrella that allows us to be under their insurance to run the race. So we don't have to pay for insurance because the Grange is covering it because they're sponsoring it. So that money that would have been spent on insurance to run the race, which is a lot of money, is being sent to help others. So all the pieces of the puzzle kind of go together, and it's beautiful. Like,
it's like a tapestry that God is weaving with all of us if we just listen and not worry about our own agendas that could surround the outer piece of things that really won't matter. I mean, the things that we can die to and not worry about compromising our values or faith or our own particular biases. And we can do that. When I was home, we tried to do that with the different things that we did as a church. I remember we did a March for Jesus a couple of years, and we got a lot of flack because we were connected with Catholics. Well, with the Holy Name Parish, which is a great fellowship there, Machias, I don't have to agree with the Catholics on everything, but with Jesus, well, I darn well better be able to agree with them. And we had 21 of them out. So I can relate to what you're saying is what I'm saying, I guess, and paying it forward and educating the next generation, which I know is a big thing with Johnny, and doing it right, and all that comes together. And you guys are blessing. Wow, this has been
right, because I like, people ask me why are you doing this, and I'm like,
yeah,
I get nothing from it. I get no financial gain. I get no fame or fortune or nothing. I just do it because I love to do it. I love to serve people. I feel it's the gift that God has given me to be artistic and create flyers and connect with others and get the word out there and show hospitality and draw people in and entertain. And it's just these gifts that are drawing in, and that's what I get from it. That's the gift.
Other people,
yes.
Johnny, you got anything to add to that before I close? The word of prayer? And, yeah.
Not much. She's pretty well covered most of it.
She sure has. I can't wait to see you guys. We're going to be headed up. We may be there in time for that race, Rebeka, end of June into July. I can't run, but I'd love to be there to support that.
Yes.
Let me just share this piece, and I've shared it with people before in messages, and just I love the whole subject of emotional intelligence. And I think of what Jesus said, it's more blessed to give than receive, which we know is an altruism. It's true. We always like, how does that work? Because people, our culture, our society is always thinking about themselves, and we are self-centered in many ways. But I read one time, it was Dr. Loretta Graziano. She has a book out called The Happy Chemicals. It's a quick read. You can finish it in like a night if you're very small. And she talks about the 5 happy chemicals, serotonin, adrenaline. But one of them I had never read or heard about was oxytocin. And oxytocin is a social chemical that starts to be emitted in a baby when the baby's nursing. But it's a chemical that has a rush in a person's bloodstream when they're doing something for somebody else. It's so powerful that, well, okay, we've had an oxytocin rush tonight. Me listening to your story, you reliving your story about giving to others we're not just smiling because, we're on faith, family, and friends.
Right.
She said this in her book, that if you observe somebody helping an old lady across the street, not only does the person helping the old lady get an oxytocin rush and the old lady, but the person observing it, the third party. That's how powerful that is. And if we start to give to other people out of, not to get that rush, but Jesus, God created us in such a way that it really does work. And they've even tested dogs. I have to say this for Andrew's sake, because I know Andrew's got 2 amazing huskies, Luna and Leo, right?
Yeah.
I'm a dog person. But they actually tested them and hooked them up to some kind of wire. So when the dog was petted by his owner, both the owner and the dog got an oxytocin rush. So no wonder man's best friend is a dog, besides his spouse. So you guys, I just want to share that. To be a blessing to you. You just keep doing it. Keep going for the oxytocin rush. The Green Joe will be the center of the happy chemicals in Jonesboro. And we'll wipe the curse of self-centeredness off our society and our region with the help of the Lord and working together. So love you guys. It's amazing. Let me pray for you, okay?
Thank you.
And those who are watching, you can pray with me too. Thank you so much, Lord, for what you're doing with people who love people and love you and love their community and want to pay it back, pay it forward. There's so many negative stories going around our world today, and some of them we need to know about because we need to know what to pray for. God help the Ukrainians, Lord. We know the southern border is a mess, and there are a lot of things that we don't agree with when we see policies established that just cut against the things that we're talking about here. So, Lord, thank you that Johnny and Rebeka cut from the same cloth, Father God. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Thank you so much for the spirit of giving that Johnny has bequeathed to Rebeka, and the 2 of them working together. Thank you for healing Johnny. We just pray in the name of Jesus that this remission would be just an exclusively permanent one, that through love and prayer and the chemo, Lord, that he's just through with it. And thank you. Give him energy. Continue to increase that energy so he can be back on the water, even the clam flats. And help Rebeka with this pageant. May she win. I'm just going to ask, Lord, you help her win so that she can have a platform to share God, to share Jesus, to share what God is doing in her life and what he has already done. And thank you so much for the town of Jonesboro, for down East Maine. We pray for a great revival and for the communities to work together for one good cause. And we praise you, Lord. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Say hi to Andrew and hug those dogs and those kids.
We will.
Okay, see you later. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.